Welcome back to DVC Weekly. This is episode 10. I'm Jason Erpelding, the broker of Buy and Sell DVC, and this is Scott Ferrioli.
I'm the owner of DVC-Rental and Buy and Sell DVC.com.
And today, for the 11th month window, that would be 3/14/22. So again, we're still in the spring break time. So if you're looking to plan a vacation, you want to get your rental request in now, and they'll try and secure a reservation for you. The 7-month mark is 11/14, so right before Thanksgiving. And again, at your home resort, you can book up to 11 months. Under 7 months, everything's fair game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, November's selling out pretty quickly this year. It's about, I should say, 7 months. It's especially for the first week or two. It's mostly sold out everywhere because you've got Jersey Week mixed in there. So you definitely, if you're thinking of coming in November, you need to put in those requests ASAP. Like there might not be a ton of availability left for mid-November right now, but there could be some stuff that pops up. So don't wait any longer. And
for those of you that are not familiar with the term Jersey Week, what happens is, I believe the schools are out for 2 or 3 days.
Correct. Yeah, they have teacher conferences every year around the first week of November. So a lot of people from New Jersey take those extra 2-3 days and they'll put it into a long weekend or maybe a full week. And big influx of people coming from New Jersey down to Florida. So it can get a little busier. So,
and that's been that way for a number of years, right? Because what happens is the first time another person that's not from New Jersey goes to book something for, say, like November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and they find that there's no availability.
They're shocked.
They're shocked. They're like, okay, what's going on? Why is everyone there? And that's the reason why. So, and it usually happens around like between the 2nd and the 9th, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. And normally there's also one of the marathons during that time, but none this year, so that's not affecting it. But you still got Jersey Weekend. It's pretty sold out already.
So today we're going to go into talking about Grand Californian. So, of course, this is a Disneyland DVC resort. Just to give you some facts on it, it has studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Now, there's only 48 villas there, which that plays into the availability part. It is a resort that expires 2060. The dues are $6.99 per point. And the direct price from DVC is currently $295 per point. And the resale price, it ranges anywhere from $225 to $245 a point, depending on the size of the contract and if the current status of the points.
I'll add in there that this is by far the one that's closest to Disney's direct prices because you can't even get this directly from Disney anymore. You can only get it on the resale market. They're not taking any names on wait lists or anything. So if you want to buy a Disney Grand Californian, you really do need to get it on the resale market.
And from the resale side, I just want to, in regards to this resort, you do get some people that, they come to Walt Disney World and they buy into Saratoga Springs. They're always, they may make their reservations majority of the time 7 months. If they get this, that's great. If they get this, they're very flexible on when they can travel. This is open, this is open. Unfortunately, for the Grand Californian, that really is just not an option. If you think you're going to buy some points at the Grand Californian and say, okay, let me see what's available at 4 months, 3 months, 5 months, it's just not going to happen.
With 48 rooms, it's the smallest of any of the resorts for the amount of DVC villas in there. So it's pretty much impossible to get it 7 months out. So if you're planning on going to stay there as a DVC owner, or if you're looking to rent, you really need to book at that 11-month window. So you need the resort priority as an owner. So
right. If you're going to purchase the resort, once you are, and you're going to use the points, you want to make that reservation 11 months in advance. That's your goal going into purchasing that. You don't want to buy that. I don't think there's anyone out there that says, oh, yeah, buy Grand California, just make the reservation whenever you want. You want to buy this, and you want to make that reservation at the 11-month mark. Now, I personally have not been to Grand Californian, so we're going to let Scott walk you through the scenario of, if you're staying there or if you're renting there or using your points to stay there.
Okay. I've only stayed there. I've only stayed at Grand Californian once. I've also stayed at Disneyland Hotel. Both are great resorts. Grand Californian is a really, really beautiful resort. It's It kind of has that same feel as Animal Kingdom or Wilderness Lodge with the big open air lobby. Rooms are really nice. What's great about Grand Californian is that it has a back entrance directly into California Adventure Park, and you're walking distance to Disneyland. So, I mean, they're both right there. And that's the main difference between Disneyland and Walt Disney World, is that Disneyland and California Adventure are literally 50 feet apart from each other. So everything is in this small location, as is downtown Disney. So you're in a perfect location to be there. And it's, again, you get early access to the resort, to the parks in the morning. Right now, they're not opening, but Disneyland is going to be opening in about 2 weeks from now. So really looking forward to hopefully getting out there at some point soon. But great resort, great location. Again, you've got to book in advance, though, because it's such a small resort.
And then if you're flying into there, what can you give us a scenario on flying in?
That's right. The main airport that everybody flies into is LAX. So you got Los Angeles Airport right there. It's about I'd say 20 to 25 minute bus ride from the airport to the resort. A lot of people also fly, from what I've heard, I haven't done it, into John Wayne Airport. I think it's similarly distanced, maybe a little bit more, but that's a much smaller airport. So most people go into LAX. But again, Disney has their own bus that will pick you up and drive you to the resort for a nominal fee. Or there's a bunch of outside tour operators that come through as well. And I'd say you probably see 30 of those buses come through for each Disney bus, because there's a ton of them out there, and they're less expensive. But personally, I've always gone with Disney just because I trusted them a lot more.
And would you say that it's a resort that, I mean, you want to spend a whole week there, or is it more 3 or 4 day resort? Or
with only 2 main parks, personally, I would say it's probably really good for maybe 4 to 5 nights. You can knock off most stuff in that time, and that's probably what I would do again. Last time we went, we did 5 nights, and we actually did 5 park days as well. So we went every single day. There was no time off or anything. And I mean, as somebody who grew up, doing the Walt Disney World and barely going to Disneyland, we were able to do most of it 4 or 5 days. But it's absolutely fantastic and great. Very, very different. I'm sure Disneyland's very different than Walt Disney World. It has the feeling that it's familiar, but everything's in different places, and it's much more compact as well. So rides sometimes can be, 30 feet from each other. The entrances, like, they're all kind of like stacked up on top of each other, which makes it very convenient for travel between the rides. So you get there a lot quicker instead of like an Animal Kingdom where it could be a 15-minute walk between rides. So that's great. But I'll also point out that a lot of the queues are all outside. There's not a lot that go inside, like in the air conditioning and stuff. So be prepared that you will be waiting outside in the sun, which, again, not as strong as Orlando, but you will be outside a lot more in the queues as well.
So let's just say that you have a family that's been to Walt Disney World, 10 out of the last 12 years. What would you say is the biggest reason why they may want to go to Grand Californian at least one time to experience? Is there a particular...
I think the main reason, and again, there are some rides, and there are some older rides that were removed from Walt Disney World that are still in Disneyland, like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride or the Snow White's Scary Adventures. So there's lots of different stuff as well. But I think the main thing that a lot of people like is the nostalgia of it. You've got the park that Walt walked in, that Walt had his hands in there 100%. So I think a lot of it, especially if you're, a Disney fan, a Walt Disney fan, somebody who likes the history of Disney, Disneyland Park has that nostalgic feeling to it. So it's different, but it's a lot of fun, and it's cool to sit there and think that he was involved in all of this, and he walked these streets, and he was 100% in charge of this. So it's kind of cool to look around and see what they've done that's different than Walt Disney World.
And if you're someone that that goes to Disneyland more than you go to Disney World, please leave in the comments. What are the things that you like about going to Disneyland that others they may not know from the fact that they've never experienced.
Yeah, I mean, it always causes a big controversy too. Everybody's like, what's better, Walt Disney World or Disneyland? And there are a lot of people, especially the locals, who really love Disneyland. Personally, I like Walt Disney World just because it's so much bigger and more extravagant, and there's a lot more stuff to do. But having both parks right next to each other and everything kind of on top of each other can be nice and very convenient. Or if you have mobility issues or any issues at all where you're dreading longer walks, whatever. Disneyland is so much tighter and compact that it is a lot of fun at Disneyland. Somebody just popped in my head. The Small World ride is so much cooler at Disneyland as well. There's a couple too.
And of course, if you're a Grand Californian owner and you're ever thinking about renting out your points, you want to be sure to get those points to DVC-Rental so they can use them between the 7 to 11 month mark.
Correct. Yeah. Because
The last thing you want to do is, here's some, I own a Grand Californian, here's some points that have to be used in the next 4 months. You want to?
Yeah, exactly. At that point, I don't want to say that they're useless, but I mean, they get locked in with all the other points.
Right. Then they're most likely going to be used at Disney World somewhere.
Exactly. They'll be used at Disney World. And, at that point, Saratoga Springs is the biggest resort and has the most owners. And sometimes it's a little bit tougher to rent their points because just of how big it is and how many owners that we have. If you're bringing in your Grand Californian points, I mean, they're in top demand. But when they're 7 months out, I mean, they're just as good as any other Walt Disney World resort. And we could have 50,000 points at that time where we could have only 100 Grand Californian and we're in need of those. So if you're a Grand Californian owner, definitely get those to us well before the 7-month window if you can, because it'll help them rent out a lot faster.
And if you ever need to sell the points, buy and sell, be happy to help you. There's always people looking to add on to Grand California or looking to get into the resort for the very first time. And is there anything else you want to add on Grand Cal? Or?
Not much else I can really think of right now. I mean, we need to get you out to Disneyland at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a lot of fun out there. And Grand California really is the top of the line resort out there. It's fantastic and all so centrally located and walking distance and just really, really convenient.
All right, now we're going to move into Scott's food review.
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! Get in my belly!
Excellent. Well, always my favorite part. So for the food of the week, we went over to Epcot's Sunshine Griddle. This is brand new. It replaced the donut box that's over by Test Track. It's a newer building that they've created. And previously, it was this donut box, which we didn't get a chance to go to. Every time we went, there was a decent amount of lines. And we went a couple weeks ago. We thought we were going to go to it. And Epcot's Sunshine Griddle was there. And I was a little saddened by that. But they had something called the fried cinnamon roll bites with cream cheese, frosting, and candied bacon. And you get 3 of these little rolls. They're probably about that big for $4.25. So it's a pretty decent deal for Disney. Disney could have charged easily over $6 for this, and people would have loved it. They were really, really good. This has moved up. This is now the top thing that I've done so far. I'm giving this an 8.6 because the food was really good. It was soft. It was warm. The cream cheese frosting on it was wonderful. The bacon for a little bit of saltiness, and just the deal for it. $4.25. I mean, we shared the 3 of these with my 4 of us in our family, and my immediate thought was to get back in line and get the same thing again, just because they were really that good. So definitely try these. These were fantastic.
And what was the name of it again?
These are called the fried cinnamon roll bites. It says on the sign, it says fried cinnamon roll bites with cream cheese frosting and candied bacon. But really, really good. I'll definitely be getting those again. I hope they stay for a while. I'm guessing they probably won't. They're probably very limited time.
And that was an 8.6.
That got an 8.6. That's by far the best I've done. I was surprised with how good they were. I was surprised by the amount that we got for the price, and they were just delicious.
And now we're going to move into our fact or fiction. Last week we did fact or fiction when it comes to the buy and sell DVC. Now we're going to do fact or fiction for DVC-Rental. So
I'll let you read.
Okay, here we go. See how well Scott does. See how well you do at home. So fact or fiction, you have to be a DVC member to rent DVC points.
And that's a question we get all the time. And the answer is fiction. You do not have to be a DVC member. The DVC member is using their points to book a vacation for whether it's family or friends or to rent them out. They're booking it for you. You're staying on their points. You do not have to be a DVC member at all. You don't get any of the benefits from having the blue card as being a DVC member, but you still get to take advantage of the highly discounted rooms.
And you get to take advantage of some other things that we'll get into in the further fact or fiction. DVC does not allow DVC members to rent points. Fact or fiction?
This one is clearly fiction as well. However, you will get a lot of cast members sometimes that really don't know the rules, and they'll sometimes tell our DVC members that they are not allowed to rent out their points, which is not the truth. In your contracts, it states that you're allowed to rent your points up to 19 times per year. The reason they put a cap on it is because they don't want people doing this professionally, going out and buying tens of thousands of points just to try to turn around, rent them out, and make a profit every single year as a business. So they do put a cap on it. It's 19 times, but you've got to have a lot of points to hit that 19 rental limits. We've had it happen once where we had to stop somebody. We're like, all right, you're at your limit, so you don't want to get dinged for anything. But very, very rare because, again, 19 reservations, could be 10,000 points or more. So, but it is fiction. You are absolutely allowed to rent out your points.
And I'm sure Disney, at the end of the day, loves the extra marketing. This person gets exposed.
Yeah, you would think so. A lot of times, if a DVC member is not going to use their points, instead of just, going unused, we're renting them out to another family. And then that family's coming down there and they're spending their money on the tickets. They're spending their money on the food. There's a lot of extra revenue coming into Disney because we've helped rent out the points. So, there's no reason for Disney to be upset about anybody renting out their points as it benefits them the most.
Fact or fiction, as a renter, you get free parking at the resort.
That is a fact as well. When you stay at the deluxe Disney resorts, Disney charges $25 per day for parking. So when you rent points, as the room is booked on DVC points, the DVC members' maintenance fees have already kind of covered the parking portion of it. So when you rent points, you don't have to pay for any of the parking at the hotel. Now, when you stay on Disney property, you automatically get free parking at the parks as well. But again, that's for everybody. But when staying on points, you get free parking if you happen to have a car with you to park at the resort.
That's another, again, $25 a night.
That adds up.
Absolutely.
I could buy a bunch of churros or a bunch of these cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
Get them.
Fact or fiction, as a renter, you cannot take the Magical Express.
Good question. That is fiction. You are absolutely able to take the Magical Express. Now, as you know, the plan is for Disney to cancel the Magical Express at some point, I think January 1st, 2022. Nobody's really sure what Disney's going to do, if they're going to have a paid service that runs buses. But as of right now, when you stay on DVC points, it's just like you've booked everything through Disney. You still get extra magic hours. This goes into the next one a little bit. But you still get extra magic hours. You still get the Magical Express. Everything is normal.
And then just to clarify on the Magical Express, because in this episode, we also mentioned Grand Californian. Magical Express is, of course, for the resorts at Walt Disney World. It doesn't apply to Vero Beach, Hilton Head, Grand Californian, or Alani. So
Good point.
Fact or fiction, as a renter, Disney will treat me differently.
Good question. We get that one a lot as well. Disney will treat you a little bit differently, but mostly not. The main thing is that if you call Disney about your reservation, they're not allowed to speak to you about it because it's on DVC points, and only the DVC members can talk to Disney about the reservation. But otherwise, everything is booked in your names. Everything will link up on your My Disney experience. You'll still get Magical Express options. You'll still get early access or late access to the parks when it's being offered, dining plans when they're being offered. So everything that you're accustomed to when booking directly through Disney, you get the same exact thing when you rent DVC points.
And plus, the resorts, if you check in and it's your first time there, there's buttons that they'll give you for the first trip. That's going to apply to you, whether you're renting points or, your friend that, booked the stay differently. You're still going to get all those same things.
Yeah, and I'll just add on there that, when you rent DVC points, I just want to point out that everything is booked in your names for you. So if you're renting, if you're renting a reservation that happened to be coming from the Erpelding family, it doesn't say Erpelding on the reservation. It'll have your names on there. So when you link it up on My Disney Experience, it'll pull in your names and you'll be able to assign tickets, individually to your whole family. So it's actually very, very simple.
Very easy process. And that pretty much wraps up episode 10.
We're at 10. I'm running out of fingers. I'm out. This is my last time I'm going to be doing this.
Hopefully you enjoyed that. Leave any comments if you have them about staying at Grand California, going to Disneyland, and we'll see you back for episode 11.
I'll also add on there, if you have any questions, always feel free to throw them in the comment section. We love seeing the comments, and we always reply to them rather quickly. Or it could be something that you say, hey, why don't you ask on the air if you have any suggestions? We could add some stuff to fact or fiction. Any questions you have for us, let us know, and we'll gladly address them. So thank you very much.